Hey everyone, welcome back to Meet the Hives. This is episode 6. We have the French Hive with us. Thank you guys so much for being here. How are we doing today?
Great, thank you, Jesse.
Very good. Thank you very much for having us.
Great. Let's do some introductions to start. So we have our Princess Bee Bishop and our worker bee Jonathan here on the call today. Please introduce yourself to the community.
Sure. So my name is Charles Bishop. I've been with the EOS French community for several months now. I started working with the EOS French community to make it better, to introduce more people to the French community, also translate more content, produce more articles, and everything EOS related. Our job was to make it more accessible to French-speaking persons. And it's still our job today. I'm still working with the EOS French community to build our Eden, to build everything that's needed to convey more people to the French community. And afterwards, I naturally went to work with EOS Support as a French representative, because I needed someone to speak French and translate everything to French as well. And I'm also very proud to be a princess for the French Hive. It's a pleasure being here today.
Thank you, Bishop. Jonathan.
Yes, I'm Jonathan, and I'm very happy to be here with you. I started to be very interested in cryptocurrency around 2017, when actually Block One started with the big ICO, and I got very in love, let's say, with EOS at that moment. And actually since then I never left EOS, the EOS community. And a few months ago, together with Bishop and a few others, we decided to start the little French community, like officially EOS Francophone. And yeah, we are now trying to develop our community, and we are very happy as well to work with the bees, because I think it's a very good project that will help EOS a lot. And yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah, and I'll give a little bit of background. The French community in EOS existed long before EOSBs came around. So it was like a really easy kind of transition. Some other languages we're building from scratch, not the French language. They are ready to go. They've been doing a lot of stuff that we do already. And so they've been really a pleasure to work with. And I do want to just compliment Bishop. If you haven't seen, he's a really great artist. You've seen his work around 3D art, really cool. You've probably seen on Twitter with the Christmas tree and the Eden ornament on top, or I think it was the EOS logo on top with the Eden ornament.
First the Pomelo logo, then the Eden logo, then the EOS logo to finish. Yeah, no, it's a pleasure doing the inspirations for the community, and it's a great way to spread the word around for the French community and EOS community at large. Yeah, it's a pleasure doing it, and I'll be doing further to make explaining videos, to make every content that's needed to spread the word around EOS. I'm going to work more on that once we have the new white paper from Dan Larimer. It's going to explain a whole new system of spreading EOS around, and it's going to need several types of content to make it more accessible to everyone. And it's going to be a pleasure working on that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think you'll do very well in the new Eden system. Yeah, we're so happy to have you. So yeah, let's get into the question. So we're on Meet the Hives here. This is kind of our first video together. We want the other languages to learn about the French-speaking EOS community. And so the first question off the bat is, where are we at? Like, where do we stand with the French-speaking EOS community right now? Like the size, some key facts, anything we should know about the French-speaking EOS community?
Yeah, sure. So the EOS French community for now, we built our group around Telegram at first. We are now 400, a bit more than 400 on the Telegram group. We went to that number thanks to several AMAs we did with other communities. this was thanks to Eden funds that we got, because 2 of our members got into the first round of the Eden election. So we got a bit of funding for do what we pledged to do. So build the French community and build everything around it. So that was the first step. And right now we're working on the website for the French community. And around that is going to be built the Eden community at large for the French community. So right now that's our goal. And little by little spread it and make it bigger eventually. Yeah. So
Are there
for us, big plan to make the Eden and work on the Eden as soon as possible, because it's going to come very quickly, I think, with a new plan from Dala. Yeah.
Is it correct to assume, and this is from where I'm standing as the queen bee, and I kind of see these different language communities, is it correct to assume that the French community particularly likes or aligns with Eden more so than other dApps on EOS, or are there other kind of dApps or solutions on EOS that the French community particularly likes?
I can speak for myself, saying that the main thing that got me into EOS was the democratic aspect of it, and the aspect of it that comes from fractal democracy, as described by Dan Larimer. And I think a lot of French people are actually more interested in that more than anything else, because we as a French people are very aligned with liberty and equality and those concepts at large. And we are very voiced people. We do we go on the streets as soon as there's a problem. We are very proud of ourselves for being a very conflicting people, because everything there's an idea, we love to debate around it. We love to make things better. And liberty speaks to us very much as a people. I think we did several revolutions just to put our country ablaze and build it better every time. And yeah, I think many in the French country and French-speaking countries at large are very interested in what EOS can do and what its governance system can do. So we are very lost people like every other country. Our democratic system, we see the bias in it, we see the corruption, we see the problems in it inherently, and we want to make it better. And as a people, we, the French people, I think love to make things better just by burning the system around and building these things better, sure. And that's what's gotten me into it, and I think it's drives the French people at large more than anything else, yes.
Very
and on top of that, the crypto space in France is pretty forgiving. It's pretty acceptable. Crypto is a pretty acceptable thing in France. I mean, many cryptos were built by French people, and the French legislation is not as strict and as punitive on taxes than in other countries. It's pretty well done here in France. It's pretty forgiving for those that are willing to go into crypto. So on that aspect, I think it's got incentives to grow the crypto market here. There are very obstacles in my opinion around that subject.
Yeah, and I do was going to ask you a little later about the government regulatory situation, and so that's great to hear. That kind of makes me think, yeah, we should invest even more into the French-speaking language. But Jonathan, I'm curious to know from you, how has the French community on EOS evolved, and like from the beginning, from the ICO, going through everything we've gone through, all the pain, all of, everything. If you can maybe paint a picture for us of where we started and where we are now.
Yeah, I think the French-speaking community evolved more or less the same way as all the other communities, meaning that at the beginning, a lot of people were amazed with this project. And unfortunately, the fact that Block One raised $4 billion and then didn't do much about the ecosystem made a lot of people leave the community. And hopefully now it's starting to come back. But the thing is, well, you know how it is with the reputation of this crypto. So now it's quite complicated. But and if I can add something else, I would say that we started with a very good reputation at the beginning. At least everyone was hyped by the project, and then when it became very strange with block one, what happened is all the French-speaking influencers, they totally ignored EOS, and more they also fed all the time EOS. So that's why actually at some point, and Bishop, Vincent, and me and others, we started to try to communicate with the French-speaking community in French, because there was no way to hear in French anything good about EOS. And actually, it's also true to say that a lot of French-speaking people, they don't speak English. So if they want to go into crypto, and the only thing they will hear about crypto is everything but EOS. So this is why we started to do something, and yeah, hopefully now we are trying to get back these people, the former people, and also new one into the community by addressing to them in French. But yeah, as I said, beginning it was very good, then it slowed down a little bit, and then it was total disaster the last 2 years. And then yeah, we are hopeful now that it will get better with all the good changes that are occurring.
Do you support a rebrand? I know there's talk in the community about rebranding EOS, not the ticker symbol, but like how Cardano ADA. Do you support that?
Yeah, I was quite skeptical at the beginning, but I think it might be a good thing in the end. Of course, the ticker is very important. I understand that it's very complicated to change and everything, but yeah, maybe it will be a good thing. We need a fresh start, to be honest. And yeah, there was this divorce with block one to start with. I know there is a lot of thing going on with the ENF and so on, the bees as well. But I think the branding could be something else that is very important, and depending as well how it is done, of course. But if we do it well, I believe it will help. Yeah, well, this is my belief, at least. I don't know about you, Bishop.
No, sure. I think whatever the name we give it in the end, it's still going to be the same amazing technology behind it and the same amazing governance system. So it's going to be a system that supplants and does better than the actual system. So anyway, people are going to go to it. So no problem in rebounding on my end, sure.
Yeah, it's just the all the negativity and all the FUD out there is talks about EOS in a negative way. And so if we weren't called EOS, that would be like the nuclear bomb to get rid of the FUD. Instead of going out there with the sword and a shield like we're doing with the bees, I personally support it. I think it will be in the white paper coming up. So we will see. We're recording this on January 5th. It's not out yet. And we are all anxiously awaiting. But let's move on. The news, the mainstream news in France, what do they talk about? It doesn't have to be about EOS, just crypto in general. What are we hearing from the mainstream news in France?
So from what I gathered, yeah, they speak a lot about crypto, a lot. It's a big saying. They talk about Binance. They talk when big changes on that end happen. So they talk about DeFi, sure. And yeah, the main news is about big players like Binance, like Coinbase, maybe sometimes, but mostly Binance. I've seen articles from it in the mainstream news. I say in the mainstream news. And on top of that, yeah, just general talk about DeFi, what it can bring, how it's disrupting the system. Just the classical things that we've heard from Times Magazine or mainstream news like that. It doesn't go that deep into what other things are, I think. Yeah. And that's just on the mainstream news side, I think. If John can correct me on if you've seen anything else.
Yeah, no, that's true. On the mainstream news, it's not much actually. Yeah, they will talk about the trend, you know. They talked about ICOs in 17, and then DeFi and NFTs. but they don't really go deep into the subject because most of the mainstream medias, they don't really know a lot about it, and they are still quite skeptical, I think, about cryptocurrency in general. But if we talk about the French-speaking crypto community, they have their project. I mean, there are a few projects that are hyped a lot by the people. I think we can speak about. I think Binance BNB was one of them. Around as well. Tezos, because I think Tezos was built by French people. I'm not sure, but yeah, they have their favorites, I would say, and it's incredible because it's all over the crypto influencers. They're only talking about a few cryptos, and yeah, EOS is not part of it, and we want to make sure that EOS in the future will be part of it.
Yeah. I just, you're reminding me of, I'm speaking to other language hives, and in Nigeria, Binance, they come in and they put on events, like in-person events, Binance, and they have rewards and stuff. And I'm pretty sure they probably do that in many other countries. And that's kind of a great strategy. And that's something that we want to do in the future. We want to put on live events. That is one of our contest types in our new contest bounty system. And I think that's just a great strategy. Binance is really crushing it in that regard. And I know the ENF and Zach Gall in particular is really is interested in doing some live events, and I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah.
Great.
I'd like you to, if you can, elaborate on what you were talking about in the legal and the regulatory side in France. You mentioned they passed some laws that are more lenient. Can you say in what way they are more lenient, and if you know anything about the laws that were passed?
Sure. The main law I know about, and John may be able to elaborate more on that, the main law that exists in France is that you can do everything you want with crypto. You don't have to declare anything or do anything taxes-wise unless you convert that crypto to fiat, to fiduciary money. So you can do whatever you want. You can invest in crypto, you can trade, do whatever you like. And the only moment the government is going to ask you something is if you put the crypto into fiat, and you are going to pay what we pay here in France taxes-wise is 30%. So 30% of what you earned, and it's a bit more complicated than that. It's based on what you hold as at large in a crypto-wise. So if I hold 300 EOS and I convert 100 into fiduciary money, then I pay 30% plus something proportionate to what I hold. So it's a bit more complicated than that, but the main basis is they're going to leave you alone. Just the only thing they care about is if the money is spent or converted into euros. So what we use here, that's it. So that's specific to France, not other French-speaking countries like Canada or Quebec. I can only speak for France.
Anything to add there, Jonathan?
Yeah, no, not really. I think that's correct from what I know as well, and it's pretty big, the taxation, but like for everything else in France, actually it's like that. But and I think it's not preventing people to invest in cryptocurrencies. If people want to do it, they bear with the taxation, even though it might be high compared to a lot of other countries. And in regards to the companies, if they want to invest, if you want to run a company and do some, I don't know, launch a cryptocurrencies and everything, this I don't really know, to be honest. I think it's doable, but it's complicated because it's always complicated, bureaucracy in our country. So it's not preventing anyone, but it's a lot of barriers, I guess. And it's not always that favorable, I would say.
Yeah, launching a new token, whether it's the SEC in the United States or the similar regulatory body in France, that's got to be the most complicated thing in the regulatory space, probably no matter where you are.
Yeah, yeah.
I just thought of a question. It wasn't on our sheet, but I'm curious. Certain languages like Spanish and French, they're spoken in multiple countries in English, and it's interesting in the English Hive, we have a very diverse set of people that live in different countries, and kind of the whole premise of EOSBs is that language ascends culture. That it doesn't matter what culture you come from, as long as you speak the same language, we can work together. And so I'm interested to get your perspective on that. If obviously the French Hive, first of all, does the French Hive, or does everyone live in France in the French Hive? Okay, no, okay. And so, and
No.
if not,
Yeah.
how are those different cultures interacting together?
Sure. So everything started with the EOS French community. So EOS French community, as we built it, encompasses every French-speaking country. So we got people helping from Quebec, we got people helping from South Africa or other, South Africa, not from Uganda and other countries. We've got, yes, for example, one of our members is from the Congo, so Democratic Republic of Congo, and he's been working with us to spread EOS there. And he got into the French Hive when it was built to continue doing marketing and continue receiving funds to build EOS there. And it's pretty different, yeah, from the situation in France. From what they've told us, it's pretty unique system. So there, I got access to electricity 100 hours, 24 hours a day. They don't have access to many things that we consider granted here in France. Also, corruption is almost everywhere. So also cryptocurrencies, when they first got into recluded parts of the world like this one, they did a lot of damage. So a lot of scams went along the way when we arrived. And now pretty much everyone there has a bad opinion of cryptos because they got scammed one way or another along the way. So
this is in Congo.
Pretty different situation. Yeah, in Congo, yeah. So Eli is from there. He's a very passionate member from our community, a very active member too. And yeah, it's a pleasure having him. It's a pleasure helping him because he needs us to provide him with translations, to provide him with every content that we build in the French community, may it be from the Telegram or the French Hive. And sure, we give it everything that he needs to build it further there. And it's a pretty different situation, yeah, sure.
The question is, working with this person in Congo, for example, has it ever, the fact that he lives in Congo, has it ever conflicted with like the work you're generally trying to do, like as a French-speaking community?
No, never. We're happy to give him the funds to do his work there because it's important work and does it in French, so he needs us for in that regard. But it never conflicted in any way. No, we are going to go forward with, as you said, build events and build a more local events here in France. But that's going to be done by a worker who knows his country, who knows the situation here. Right. And eventually, if there are more French-speaking countries or members that join the French Hive, and we're out of worker seats, we got to find a way eventually to put a hierarchy and make sure that every worker or every people in charge knows best about how it's going to be done in his particular country. But for now, it's not a problem. We haven't got any conflicts on that end. Everything is working smooth. Yeah.
Great to hear. It seems like the thesis is holding up so far. So that's good to hear. So let's move on. Let's move into EOS specific conversation now. Are there any particular problems on EOS that the French-speaking EOS community cares most about?
On the technology side, on what particular side?
Sure, technology side.
Technology side. No, on that end, I asked the community. I did a reunion with French members to ask them if there are any questions, any things that they don't like about EOS. The general consensus is no. Anything that's being done is what we can do. It could be better, sure, but we are doing what we can. Great people, great minds are putting theirs into it. So on the technology side, no, not much. The main concern of the French community is the perception around EOS and specifically on influencers here. So doing marketing is very complex here, and reaching out to influencers too, because many of the crypto influencers here in France are ones that were here since the ICO, so that they're very, very hard to reach on EOS. They got a better opinion about it, they don't want to hear about it, and it's very complex to get those ICO influencers on board. So it's not going to be a problem with the new influencers. We're gonna reach new people on this. It's just more complicated because yeah, it's a country that got into crypto very early, so many people know about EOS, many people who are influencers from a long date in the crypto space, and we gotta turn them around. It's the most complicated thing, but it's going to be done. And on the technology side, though, I didn't hear anything about it. Maybe John can too.
Yeah, actually, yeah, but maybe there is something, and this is something that is probably the same for every communities. The onboarding on EOS with the the wallet things, and this is not something new. And I think most of the French-speaking people I talk to, they are always saying that EOS is complicated because they are used to onboard with wallets that are easier to use. They don't need to pay for an account, and they can use it very easily. And even though after all they have to pay huge fees for swapping or for interacting with the blockchain, I think it works better that way, because people, they don't want, at the beginning they don't want to struggle to start using the services. Then when you have them on board, it's different. Even if they have to pay, they will pay. But I think this is something that I know that is being resolved, and I know that the ENF is having a working group on this and other things as well. But I think this is a part on EOS that really needs to change if we want to onboard more people. Yeah.
Sure.
This account creation thing or problem, like you said, you have to pay up front. This is the issue. You have to pay up front, and even if you don't pay later, the fact that you have to pay up front is the bottleneck here.
Yeah, probably.
Sure.
I want to add something because we are talking about this very quickly. You were talking about the language thing, and indeed we don't have any problem to work with other French-speaking countries because of the language, basically. But still, and it was the same for Eden. It's not the same for a French for a French guy to pay 10 EOS,
right,
to be an Eden member. It's totally different in countries where 10 EOS at some point was equivalent of 1 month's salary. And that's why if we want to onboard everyone, yeah, this is I think my point at least. Yes, paying up front for a lot of people, is very complicated. So that's a great idea if we can implement something else, of course. Yeah.
And if I can add, paying up front is a big issue, and one that's going to be recognized and dealt by Dan Roma in his next update, Mandel update. So he's going to implement contract pays, going to enable contracts to pay themselves, not require someone to have an account or anything. It's going to solve a major part of that burden. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but
waiting to him his newspaper, white paper.
Yeah, we all can't wait till it comes out. But even from what I understand about contract pays, you still need to fund the account. Those funds, sure, the contract pays for the account, but you still need to fund the account. And Dan's whole thing is like, well, you want 1 million people to come in, which million should it be? Like that's kind of like, he's described it as like a very core business problem, not just in EOS, in any other business. So
sure.
Yeah, we're all working on solutions. Yeah.
Good initiative on by the governance part. Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we can do some cool stuff there. Kind of. Anyways, little bit of a tangent, but that's okay. So let's move on to the positive side. So we asked about the problems. What about EOS does the French-speaking EOS community like the most?
I've spoken about it, about the governance side. I think it's
Right.
the killer app of EOS, and it's one that's going to be recognized most by the French people. On top of that, what's EOS' most favorite part in the French side? Sure, the DeFi. Most of my friends that I didn't get into DeFi or I didn't get into crypto themselves, they got into it by themselves. So it's very appealing, I think, for a lot of people here to get away from the economic side of the actual economic side of the French situation here and the situation, well, in most countries in the world. But yeah, sure, DeFi is a big appealing side of EOS and any crypto very much at large for the French people, sure. And on top of that, I think I didn't know them personally, but yeah, I heard of many startups in France building around crypto, building around blockchain, sure, blockchain technology at last. So if they get interested, they can build later on EOS, sure. More so with the open source that is at the core base of EOS and with the further implementations of the Manza upgrade, sure. It's going to facilitate a lot of our developers coming into EOS, sure. And the decentralized part of it is only going to make it easier to convince people that it's secure. It's something you can come and build. Nothing is going to take that away from you. And we're going to do it together. On that end, if anything else appeals to the French people on your side, maybe John can add something on it.
No, you. I think maybe I will add the fact that I think we understand that EOS has a huge potential in terms of scalability, and I think it was the case 4 years ago, and it's still the case today. And this is something that is recognized by either the tech guys and as well the others. Even if we don't understand what's going on in the blockchain and why it's like that, we still understand that we can process a lot of transactions per second, and we know that it's a struggle for a lot of smart contract platform like Ethereum, for example. So I think this is something that is valued by the community, French-speaking community.
Yeah, I do want to address two of the things that you guys said. I said this on the last Meet the Hives, but I feel like there's maybe a different audience that watched this, so I'll say it again. In regards to governance, like when Bitcoin comes out with an upgrade or Ethereum comes out with an upgrade, they never talk about how that decision got made. And I have a few friends in Ethereum and I ask them about governance. They say, no, we don't do governance on Ethereum. It's like, well, you do, but it's really backdoor and like opaque. And so I really like this, the kind of the DAO's strategy that we're going with. And I think that's a huge differentiator for us. Governance, it's really hard. I mean, that's why people don't do it. It's really, really hard. Really like that. On the DeFi side, I'm interested in asking you this because when I had the call with the Korean Hive, they said that the users and investors in Korea do not recognize like DeFi Box and these other DeFi platforms because the UI is not good enough or it's not in Korean. Is it just because the French speak English better than the Koreans speak English? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, sure. It could be. It could be. I don't think the interfaces on DeFi Box or other DeFi crypto apps are that complicated. I think they're pretty easy to understand for the most part, but sure, maybe it has something to do with the Koreans maybe not being as good as French people in English. I don't think, as John said, that French-speaking France at large, is a very good English speaker, but we've got a lot of people that are interested in computer science and technology at large, and much of the media that come here are in English. So yeah, maybe we're more exposed to English than most countries and most Koreans. Maybe it has something to do with us being more at ease with using, yes, the apps, DeFi apps.
Yeah, but still, yeah, still, of course, if we had the French language on all these applications, that will help onboard a lot of people that don't speak the language. This is, yeah, as you said, Bishop, it's not a barrier for everyone, but it still is for a few people. And well, that's the way it is. That's the same for everything, actually, on the internet. It's yeah.
Right, but hopefully the difference is we have EOSBs that will translate your app or app into whatever language you want. So I always say this, but this service is available. I feel like it's a very intelligent move to increase your customer base. Translating your DApp into these other languages, really important.
Yeah, totally agree.
All right. Do you guys have a wish list, like for EOS? Is there anything that you wish was on EOS that is not currently on EOS?
A very good governance system is being built at the moment. And I think this is, as Bishop said a few times, it is something very important for, at least for us, and probably for a lot of French people and French-speaking people in the world. So hopefully we will get to that soon enough. But
we know it's coming. Yeah, that's the main thing. I personally have been always a big adamant supporter of local currencies on all their forms. That's what got me interested into EOS and the governance side of it. And the fact that La Rumeur thinks about this too, how to easily implement EOS as a digital currency at the local level, everywhere that it can be implemented, that's something that's very dear to me. And I know it's something that's coming thanks to the new white paper. So I'm pleased. I mean, EOS can bring, and I will bring, I'm sure, everything that I ever dreamed of in the economic side of things, in governance side of things. It's just a pleasure to see that everything is being thought out by very brilliant people everywhere around the world in the EOS community. And I personally couldn't ask for more. I know that everything is coming on that side, and just knowing that is a big warmer for my heart. Yeah.
Well, I'll give you guys my wish list then. In terms of what I'd like to see on the economic side, I want to monetize everything that I do, like or at least everything that can be tracked through a smartphone. Like, for example, the Pummel PUML app will give you tokens based on how many steps you make on your phone. I want to be monetized for every website. I want the option to give my data for every single website that I go to. I saw, like, I was watching Shark Tank the other day, and they were paying people to spit in a tube and to mail it in. Stuff like that. I would like to see just a whole kind of passive income just for stuff that you already do. Like maybe like you read a book and you get, stuff like that. That's kind of like my my wish list.
Well, I think it's going to be something that the world is going to drive to. I mean, we almost all use in the crypto space the Brave browser that gives us a data token to just browsing the web as we always did. And I'm sure, yes, that it's something that's going to be more implemented more in all aspects of life. Reward people by doing a service that's free, but not so much because there's ads, there's lots of things included in it. So yeah, I think absolutely. It's going to something that's going to come.
All right, so last question. And I would also like you to elaborate more on the influencers. You say they're very difficult. Like, are we able to get a like at least like a quote from them, or will they just not even recognize because there's EOS in the name?
For the influencers that know EOS since the ICO, and it's those ones that are the most reluctant to speak about it, they, most of the time, won't even answer to any comment that speaks about EOS. And if they do, it's going to be a very short answer telling us to basically go somewhere else and just or laugh. Just I'll try to laugh at the post. Yeah, maybe.
Have we tried to offer them payment, like for an interview? Has that been attempted?
That's yes. With them, no, not at the moment. We've used funds to make AMAs with other Telegram communities, with other crypto groups. That's the main things that we have done now. But sure, it's going to be the next step of for the French community. I think other French Hives too, the Hives is going to be to go to influencers, offer EOS in exchange for more content and more influence on that side. It's something that we're going to be doing, and it's something that's going to bring a lot of attention to EOS. Sure.
Yeah, or even Bitcoin. You know, convert your EOS budget into Bitcoin and offer them Bitcoin.
Sure.
You know,
sure, absolutely.
anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, whatever they want.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we've got some great feedback from some influencers on the governance side. So many influencers in France know about crypto. They don't know much about what it can do. So when we spoke to them, big influencers that don't know much about it, they got really interested first by Larry Musk's book, by the fractal democracy process. And that's something, as I said, that French people are very passionate about. It's the governance side of things. So we're going to be reaching out to many influencers, but not just crypto influencers, but also just political influencers, for example, or anyone that's interested in the process.
Yeah, getting away from crypto influencers and finding other sectors that could attract people to EOS. That's a great strategy. I'm very interested if you can keep me updated on the influencer side of things.
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
No, everything we do in the French Hive or even the EOS French community, since we got elected as first group members, me and Vince, who was a previous French princess, we've got funds, and every little bit of it that we do with it, may it be AMAs, may it be marketing operations, everything is kept on a book, on a ledger, and everything is transparent. We make everything possible just to keep everyone updated on what we do with the funds, how it's going to be used. And sure, every time there's a big influencer, we're going to hear about it on our French social networks, but also translated in English with our other networks. Sure. There are milestones that we are very proud of, and we're going to let everyone know about it. Sure. Awesome. Every good news about EOS is a good news for everyone in the community. Sure.
Right. So aside from influencers, assuming that you had like an unlimited budget, like 1 million EOS, what would you build like as members of the French Hive? So in the marketing space, what would you do with a much bigger budget with the French Hive?
As you said, building events is a good idea, and it's one that maybe works the most if you've got a big budget. So as Binance did, they got a big budget on that end, and they made a decision to do what maybe is the best thing to do when you've got such a huge budget, is hold events and convey people to it with rewards, with incentives to go to it. And it's something that could work very well here in France, as I think in other countries as well. On other sides, sure, make paying more influencers to spread the word. It's only going to get things better, I think. And we need big budget sometime to get on board with equally big influencers.
Yeah. Jonathan?
Yeah, I am. Sometimes I'm a bit questioning myself as well. I'm also wondering if, even though it's not the idea of a DAO, but maybe I would say that we would need to be more centralized. I mean, to have a centralized organization within the French community, the French-speaking community at the top, who is professional, who is very professional who is working plenty of time. I mean, full time on it, so it can organize better, communicate better, and yeah, doing event like was saying, hackathon, a lot of things, and but sometimes I'm not sure if this fits with the overall idea of being a DAO. And I think this was the big issue of EOS for the last years. And now with the ENF, a centralized entity, actually, a centralized organization, even if it was born from a decentralized way, I think it's a lot better. And maybe we would need to organize ourselves differently, because now we are just spending a bit of time when we have, and yeah, we don't even know each other, to be honest, very well with Bishop. We just talk like that from time to time. So I think this would be very much needed. And I just wanted to add something about being able to reach influencers. We have to be very honest here. There are ways, and I was thinking about token increase of price of the token, a killer DApp, or a good rebranding. These are the things that would probably make some people think again about the project. If we stay like that, of course, they will don't get back to us. They will never get back even to EOS. So of course, to obtain these three things I was talking about, we have to work, and there are a lot of things to do. But it's at some point we will need to obtain some results with what we have now to hope to gain more traction, yeah, in regard to the influencers and mainstream media.
Yeah, I totally get it. And full-time salaries also really important. That's definitely a big thing. If we're able to fundraise more for EOSBs, we definitely want to pay more salaries so people can spend more time. So guys, thank you so much for being here. It was really a pleasure speaking with you. So is there anything, closing remarks you want to say before we go?
No, thank you again. It's very cool to have the opportunity to express ourselves to the community, because sometimes we don't really want to do it ourselves, and the fact that you are stepping up for this is very interesting. Thank you very much.
It's been great being here. Yeah, sure. I think the same, Jonathan. Great having us. It's been a pleasure being here, speaking more about what we do. So, we have a bright community. We're proud of the work we do, and sure, it's a pleasure saying more about it. Sure.
All right, guys. Until the next one, we will see you soon, and have a great day. Bye.
Thank you. And go EOS.
Go EOS.
Go.